Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 13 of Paranormal Among Us. I'm your host, Paranormal Paul. I am coming to you from St. Louis, Missouri. There have been a lot of things happening in the sky above this state recently, and I thought it would be kind of fun to chat with the state director of Mufon Investigations, Debbie Ziegelmeyer. But before we get to that interview, I want to remind everyone to like and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any new content that comes out. Also, if you or someone you know has a paranormal story to tell, whether they have seen a ghost, witnessed a UFO overhead, or witnessed a Bigfoot creature in the woods, please send me an email at paranormalamongus72@gmail.com. That's paranormalamongus72@gmail.com, and I would love to hear about it and possibly read it on a future episode. And joining me now on the Boomcaster interview hotline is from Missouri Mufon, the state director, Debbie Ziegelmeyer. Debbie, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. I like that little alien guy you have in the background. That is a prop, not the real thing, right?
Oh, a prop. He does talk.
Oh, really?
He says 3 or 4 different things. Basically, don't be afraid. I'm here to invade your Earth. It was one of those items that comes out during Halloween.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. So how did you get involved with Mufon?
Um, I've always been involved in ufology since I was a child. I grew up in Thatcher, Stafford, Arizona area. So that's where the Vatican has a telescope now at the top of Mount Graham. So the sky was brilliant. I was a trekker, and one day in 2000, MUFON had a conference here. I was already going to MUFON meetings, but they had a conference in the St. Louis area in 2000, and I thought, oh, perfect opportunity to get more information. And I was so impressed that I joined, immediately became a field investigator, and they had me from there. Now I'm on the board of directors, and I'm an archivist. I'm the director of underwater research and recovery.
Yeah, I noticed your email address was diver, and so you there's a lot of underwater stuff here.
Actually, in Missouri, yes, but across the world, of course, 70% of the Earth is water. And I used my COVID downtime when a lot of things were closed back a couple years ago and wrote a book, The Alien Colonization of Earth's Waterways, because being the diver that naturally people in MUFON said, oh, you're a dive instructor. And so I was getting all the dive information, all the water information, all the information about things coming in and out of the water. And I started focusing in that area. Missouri's got, I believe we're up to 16 and still counting investigators. And we all have our little specialty. Mine happens to be water. And the book got huge because there was so much. It turned into a little book about water into a reference guide. But yes, 70% of the Earth is water. 1 in 5 sightings are water related. There's things we've been documenting coming in and out of our rivers. We've got 3 major rivers here in the state of Missouri: the Merrimack, the Missouri, and the Mississippi. And a lot of our activity centers around those and around lakes.
And of course, and we're going to touch on this again here a little later on, the Piedmont being the UFO capital of Missouri.
Right.
What's that? That Clearwater Lake down there?
Clearwater Lake right there. Absolutely.
Yeah. And of course, we have Lake of the Ozarks here as well.
Right.
And I don't know if our viewers know, but the Tic Tac videos out on both coasts, actually, in San Diego, there were reports of those UFOs coming in and out of the water. So
Yes.
Were you involved in any of that?
No, not in. That's part of that's in my book. The newer items are not, but just a little bit. January, I was at in Catalina, staying on Catalina Island with my sisters who were also MUFON investigators from California, and we did see something. One little bitty anomaly. I'm not sure, it could have been a meteor coming in, but I got it on video. But the fun thing about that is that there have been sightings there. Let's see, in 1992, I believe they had over 200 sightings in one day of craft coming out of the water right around Catalina Island.
Wow.
And we talked to a gentleman at the airport. We took the tour, went to the top of Catalina Island, and he said a crew had just left there that was taping. So I know there's a lot of activity in and around that area in the water and a suspected underwater base. So that's also been an area of focus for me.
Nothing's ever been found underwater bases or anything, have there?
No, not alien bases underwater. No, I could go on forever on that, but it's kind of clever. There's a documentary out right now that's The Terror in the Sky, and that was some of the people they're going to go. They've been out a second time to look at what's going on at Catalina Island. They got some video of an anomaly, something opening up in the sky right off of Laguna Beach. And some of these white dots, these white orbs that they were seeing, or some type of craft that they were picking up, they saw those coming, kind of going into that area. So I think what's happening is these craft worldwide are going underwater, and they're either I've got documented where there was a huge ship a quarter of a mile in diameter around Puerto Rico, but I think there's maybe the floor base is opening up and they're going in there, or maybe a mountain underwater is opening up, because there's, I think Mount Hayes in Alaska has also had reports where the mountain just kind of, it kind of, I don't know, like fogs a little bit, opens up, craft come in and out, and then it goes back into the mountain. It's very clever. They've got maybe 1,000 or more years ahead of us in technology.
Oh yeah, yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned Alaska. The last episode that I did, I interviewed Theo Chesley, who's a pilot out there, and he witnessed what he thinks was a portal opening up or something near a volcano. I can't remember the name of the volcano in near Anchorage, Alaska.
Oh, okay.
So then I've heard a ton of other stories of stuff happening in the mountains of Alaska too. But that's interesting that you mentioned that.
Yeah, I've been
Obviously,
diving in
no big
Alaska
mountains
and
here.
snorkeling in Alaska. But yeah, I was diving in Alaska looking, found a lot of stuff underwater. Water looked a whole lot like Missouri, only starfish, So no coral, it's too cold. But yeah, I have been diving looking for things underwater in Alaska. Interesting area.
And no aliens swimming around that you saw.
Well, it's so deep.
Yeah.
It just the aliens that they have seen underwater, 10-foot tall, swimming around aliens in the Russian area, in Russia, in that area, Baltic Sea, Lake Baikal, they're 10-foot tall. The most shallow were seen at 165 feet by tech divers, I believe, in the 1980s, from Russian, basically our equivalent of Navy SEALs, and they've had submarines have seen these things go by 1,300 feet. And that's way beyond my capabilities of 130 recreational. So
Right.
they're under there. But if they're not going to detect them, it's hard for a physical person to go underwater with those kind of elements, let alone we have water trenches that are so deep our submarines can't even go down there. Great place to hide. They've been doing it for centuries.
Yeah, yeah. And it's, I don't know if it's kind of odd or not, but I mean, government submarines, I'm sure they wouldn't be reporting any findings. At least we wouldn't hear about them. But it's interesting that no one's really taken a private submarine down and tried to find anything, or have they?
Well, they have. They've taken submarines a couple different times. Well, not submarines so much. Underwater vehicles, underwater UAVs, underwater camera equipment. Over by Malibu, they did that a couple times. I think the last attempt, it was their cameras were cutting out. They lost control of it. Elements are pretty intense in some of these areas. That's why they're hiding there. The trenches, we've got several mile deep trenches. That's a good place to hide. As far as taking submarines down, where do you go? I mean, there's an area, but if it's hidden, like in the mountains and other places, you hear stories about how, well, I saw this wormhole open up. Jorge Martin in Puerto Rico has a picture on his website where it's opening up in the sky right over Ponce, this area right in the sky, and a craft has just come out, then closed back up again. You have to be there right at the split second to get a picture. let alone how do you try and access something that you don't have a garage door remote control to, basically,
Right.
in our terms. They're
Yeah.
using some kind of technology and opening up and closing. They're coming either interdimensionally or they've got bases with openings that we're not able to enter.
Yeah.
Us in the public, I'm not saying that some of our government officials don't have any type of access. I believe
And
that
who
we
knows?
do with people that are working with alien beings, some type of alien race,
Yeah.
and
And
we're just not privy to it.
yeah, and we probably will never be privy to it. I mean, the
And
government will likely keep that secret. And excuse me. So getting back to Missouri, I'm here in St. Louis, and you're in Imperial, I think, which is
Imperial,
just south
right.
of St. Louis. Um, have UFO sightings been on the rise lately?
Yes, only because of the cameras, because everybody's got a camera on their cell phone. And the interesting thing now is we just found out with these new iPhone, I think it's iPhone 13, they go back to 11 or 12 with updates. We're getting witnesses that say, I saw this. I got a cell phone picture and it's not on my phone. We have one of our researchers, actually, Donovan, he lives in Illinois, that discovered what was going on. He's a photo video analyst, and he said that what they're doing now to make the background of the pictures this HD clearer is that when you take a picture, they're stacking. So there may be 25 different pictures. Then the software is filtering things out and making you one good clear picture. And what it's doing is it's filtering out these UFOs that people are seeing. He took a picture of a plane going by in the sky, and in the background, and it filtered it out. The plane wasn't even there. So
Wow.
there's a way where I believe it's on the Missouri Mufon, MissouriMufon.org, and then I believe they're putting it on the Mufon website. But there's a way to turn those features off on your phone now. It's not an easy thing to do. You can also go online and it'll show
Right.
you how to turn those features off. But oh yeah, we're tech. We're catching more, and then the forces behind the tech that were being sold is eliminating that. So
And,
we got to be one step ahead of them.
yeah, and nowadays with Photoshop and all the photo editing software, I mean, you guys have to really dig deep to make sure that these aren't doctored pictures. I mean, go back to even the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s. This stuff wasn't around, and it was harder to fake these. I mean, is that a big thing that people, we're going to start faking these now?
They did a while back, probably 4 or 5 years ago. They came out with all these phone apps. Oh, you can put an alien in a tree. You can put an alien in the woods. You can put these flying saucers. I mean, we had people that called up and said, there are aliens in my trees. And I said, email me the picture. And she emailed me, and there's these little aliens looking out of the trees. And so I had the app loaded because I knew this. And I went outside and I took pictures and put aliens in the tree. And I went, oh, I have some too. And then I never heard anything back. So
Yeah. Well, fun to
we
me.
don't get too many of those anymore. Very few, because they know that we're too smart for that. People have
Yeah.
actually become very serious about this. We get very few hoax cases anymore. Ever since the government released those videos, it was let's see, it was a go let's see Fleur. I do all
Gimbal.
these. Gimbal, yeah, Gimbal and
What was the other
Fleur
one?
and Go Fast,
Go
Gimbal and
fast.
Fleur.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
they were, the Nimitz 2004, then the other ones were January 21st of 2015 from the Roosevelt on the East Coast. And then they just had another recent one that I think it was from 2019 in California again, in Southern California.
Oh,
And that was
yeah.
the one that was bouncing around the water.
Okay. And I thought I saw one in Costa Rica, just kind of over the land. They just happened to be shooting down on the ground, and a UFO or UAP just come zooming by.
Oh, right, right, by a military base.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were shooting a military base and this thing just flew by.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get
Um,
that. We have had several Tic Tac reports, one from a police officer by the Jefferson Barracks Bridge here in St. Louis area. We've got
really?
video from 2011, I believe, where they were going from Missouri across into Illinois, and this thing went it just went by, and the kid put his camera up and I think his phone took 11 pictures at a time, just bang, 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 bang. And we got these shots of this thing, still shots. I mean, it was great. And then it wasn't, I think it was last year, fall of last year, we had a police officer that reported that in, and he was at a stoplight and saw the same thing, the Tic Tac go by. We have had several other reports though. So Jefferson Barracks Bridge, that was first known for triangle craft, and now we're getting Tic Tacs coming back and forth.
Yep. And I live real close to Jefferson Barracks, and I might just, spend more of my time there and just looking in the sky.
And these other two, these were during the day.
Yeah.
Both those times. Well, we've had several of them, but those two in particular I mentioned were during the day.
Now, this is going to be kind of a crazy question. And so, ghost hunting is probably better off done at night. Is there any time of day for UFO hunting? It's pretty much just, random. I mean, you're lucky that you see it.
It depends on the area. Like I said, the Tic Tacs during the day at the bridge, but in and around the rivers and lakes, it seems like that right after dusk, if you set up your cameras right at dusk and you start watching the skies at dusk, just maybe an hour or so afterwards, we'll do some investigations. It seems to me like 11 o'clock and there isn't anything anymore. We're picking up strange lights. We're doing an investigation off of the Highway 44 area. And, in and around the Merrimack Caverns area, we've been doing an investigation there since 2018. And we'll start picking up these lights. And we're using military grade night vision. And then we go through, of course, we match it up against Heavens Above website and find out where all the stars, satellites, planets, everything is. And then from there, we go to Flight Radar 24, find out where all the planes are. I have my Flight Radar goes back a year. Our chief investigator, Mel Van Vickel, his goes back 3 years. And we can tell exactly what's got a transponder. So we eliminate, and then all of a sudden we're like, oh, that, that's not on there. And once again, that's too close. It went through the trees and came right at us. I mean, that type of thing. And then, it's not a plane, it's not a drone when you can physically see this thing coming at you. So, but I would say right after dark. And then a lot of times too, we're getting reports, people going to work early in the morning, just as the sun's coming up. So maybe that 30 minutes just before the sun comes up is another good time. It's also good times to look at satellites too. So you have to be careful of that, but those are some really good times. It seems a lot too that I'm picking up things lately in the South. I'd look toward the southern skies.
And I've seen the International Space Station go by, and usually that's on the news. If anybody wants to see it, it's kind of neat to see that go by.
You can look at Heavens Above, or actually either Heavens Above, well, not Heavens Above, so they'll tell you where, but there's some phone apps that you can get. You take your phone app and it's live GPS stargazing. I think mine is called, mine was only $2.99. I got an iPhone, and it'll give you a warning of when it's coming over, and it say, okay, it's coming over right now, and I run outside and take a look at it. It's Sky Guide. It's a really good one to look at, and you can just put your phone up, and it'll tell you what everything is in the sky.
And I have one called the Skyview Live. That's a free app, and that shows a lot of stuff as well, and it also has the space station on it too. But it doesn't give you any warnings or alerts or anything. So, getting back again to Missouri, I had no idea that there was so many recent sightings. And I'm looking on the Missouri Mufon site, and they have this picture, and I'll put this picture up here in a second, from, I think it was last August, of all the sightings. And this is the first time I'm using this program and putting this picture on there. So, I mean, all those red dots, those are all sightings, correct?
Sighting reports, yes. And there were a lot of sightings in and around, let's see, I think the top part is Kansas City. A lot going around down by Springfield. We have a lot of sightings down by Springfield. If you can see the red dots that one day, that was all August, and they were going kitty corner from Springfield. And the last sighting was actually reported in Illinois, Quincy, Illinois, a red dot kitty corner all the way up. I guess it's following Highway 44. Yeah. And that was my investigation, and it was really great. 3 of the people sent in pictures And I thought, whoa, and it looked like a giant Tic Tac. So I started following that. I went back through the times and found it on Flight Radar 24. I found the transponder. And then I went back, and the one that got the picture that came in over Hazelwood, the guy was standing directly underneath it. And so I got to see that it was a Tic Tac, but it had like on either side, it had like these little tiny legs. And I looked it up on the military website, and it was one of our military reconnaissance balloons that they flew. They started it out. And what I didn't realize it actually started in Oklahoma, came kitty corner all the way across, and it ended in Quincy, Illinois, and it was doing about 58 miles an hour. So we tracked it all the way across the strait, and people were reporting, and they were sending in pictures. That was nice that we got to actually solve that mystery of what that one was. But there's a lot of them that we just don't. I mean, we just don't know what it is. And like they said, the area in and around the Merrimack River. And then we've also got right now around Springfield, Springfield, Missouri, yes, it's always an active area. Salem, Missouri is a very active area. Kansas City has what they call Bob. It's a light that's been appearing in the sky since I believe 2011. Their news media has been out there twice or more looking at it, filming it. It just appears, and they've named it Bob.
Really? Wow.
And then we also, another area that, of course, we have Marley Woods, which is also here in Missouri. That was investigated by Ted Phillips, and that's Missouri's Skinwalker Ranch.
Really?
Yes. So we are a very active state. We've tried to figure out why. We know this has been going on, like you referenced Piedmont. Piedmont actually started in the late 1960s, and it's still ongoing today. The reason we don't get as many reports today is the locals are so used to seeing things down there, they don't even report it anymore. It's just passé. The reports that we get people that are visiting, family members, or they're camping in the area, and those are the reports that we get.
So really, that many in Piedmont?
Oh my gosh, yes. It just Margie Kay, our Missouri Mufon assistant state director, lives in Independence. She's got a website where if you're in the Piedmont area and you spot something, you can report it directly to that site. And we just wrote a book because there's so much going on. The 50th anniversary of the 1973 Piedmont incident, and it was actually Mill Springs. But the people that were involved, Reggie Bone and the basketball team, they were from Clearwater High School.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause the interview at this point. There is so much more to come, especially about Piedmont, Missouri, but that's going to have to wait until next episode. I will have that out next week, but trust me, there is a lot of great information coming from Debbie in the second half of our interview. A special thanks to her for taking the time out of her day to chat with me, and I hope you, the viewers, are enjoying listening to her as much as I have. A lot of great information. Speaking of you, the viewer, thank you for tuning in today. Please make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. And if you have a paranormal story to share, please email me at paranormalamongus72@gmail.com. That's paranormalamongus72@gmail.com, and I'll read it on a future episode. Until we meet again for part 2 of my interview with Missouri Mufon State Director Debbie Ziegelmeyer, stay safe, everyone, and I'll see you on the next episode of Paranormal Among Us.